I learned to cope with my mother's emotional unavailability by becoming very, very small. It worked until the day I realized my coping strategies were keeping me alive, but prevented me from actually living. My name is Judi Bommarito, and this is card 20, Coping Strategies. Here's what I discovered about the difference between survival strategies and healing strategies. I learned to walk lightly, to fold my body and take up less space, to read every micro expression and adjust accordingly. When your parents' emotional world is unpredictable, you become an expert at disappearing. I could sense when my mother needed me to be quiet, contained, invisible. I learned to cope by making myself so small that I wouldn't add to whatever chaos was already swirling. I became fluent in the language of accommodation, monitoring her moods, managing my own reactions, never asking for too much. These coping strategies saved me as a child. They helped me survive an environment where emotional safety wasn't a guarantee. But as an adult, I was still walking lightly through my own life, still folding myself into smaller and smaller spaces, still believing that taking up space was dangerous. Recognizing that the coping strategies that protected you as a child are the same ones imprisoning you as an adult. What saved you then is limiting you now. There's a difference between coping strategies that help you survive and healing strategies that help you thrive. One keeps you safe, the other sets you free. When I understood this, I could honor the child who learned to disappear without continuing to disappear as an adult. I could thank the coping strategy and retire it with respect. I thought picking up my camera to photograph my mother was a healing strategy. At first, it was just another way to create distance, to put a lens between me and the pain, to turn her suffering into art instead of feeling it. Those first visits to the assisted living facility, I used the camera like a shield. When she directed her psychotic rage at me, when her words cut deep but held no authority, I could raise that lens and separate myself. I told myself this was healthy detachment. Really, it was sophisticated avoidance. But something shifted when I started seeing the image on my computer screen. The incredible sadness, the humanity beneath the illness. The camera that began as a coping strategy, a way to keep the pain at arm's length, transformed into something else. It became a bridge. I stopped using the camera to protect myself from her and started using it to truly see her. The coping strategy became a healing strategy when I stopped hiding behind it and started witnessing through it. The same tool can be used for coping or for healing. The difference is whether you're using it to avoid feeling or to feel more deeply in a way you can actually handle. Through the lens, I found connection I'd been searching for my whole life. Her written notes became puzzle pieces to her soul. The photography that started as protection became our shared language, the conversation we could never have with words. For years, I wore my ability to handle everything like armor. I could manage my mother's crises, protect my own trauma, support everyone else, and never ask for help. I thought this made me strong. It made me exhausted. I believed that needing support meant I was weak, too much, incapable. This belief came directly from childhood. When the person who was supposed to help me couldn't, I learned that asking for help was futile or burdensome. So I developed coping strategies that required no one but me. My self-reliance wasn't strength, It was trauma response. I wasn't coping well. I was coping alone. There's a significant difference. Creating my art series about my mother, exhibiting those photographs, sharing her story and mine, that required help. Friends and family who could hold space for the grief and complexity. I couldn't do it alone anymore, and pretending I could would have killed both the work and me. The most mature coping strategy is recognizing your limits and building a support system before you're in crisis. It's allowing people to show up for you the way you show up for others. It's understanding that vulnerability isn't weakness. It's the foundation of true connection. When I stopped coping alone, I discovered I didn't have to. The people who truly loved me weren't waiting for me to be low maintenance. They were waiting for me to be real. This healing card, Coping Strategies, comes near the end of the mother phase because by now you've built boundaries, learned self-care, found your voice, developed trust, and set intentions. But none of that matters if you're still using childhood survival strategies to navigate life. The question isn't whether you have coping strategies. You do. You wouldn't have survived without them. The question is, are your coping strategies helping you survive, or are they helping you thrive? Are you coping by hiding or coping by healing? What coping strategy from childhood are you ready to retire with gratitude? Share in the comments one survival strategy that saved you then, but limits you now. If this resonates, subscribe to follow the final card in the mother phase, mindfulness, where we explore how presence is the ultimate healing strategy. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is stop coping alone and start healing together. This week, notice your automatic coping responses. When you feel stressed, overwhelmed, or triggered, pause and ask, am I coping in a way that helps me survive this moment, or in a way that helps me heal? One response keeps you safe temporarily, the other transforms you permanently. Choose wisely. Next week, we'll explore mindfulness, the final card in the mother phase. Until then, take good care.